Namaste children, welcome back to our social science class. Today we will study the balance portion of the lesson Law and Social Justice. Okay, in the previous class we discussed about the law on minimum wages. Okay, then we discussed about the relationship between the workers, consumers and producers. Okay, then we discussed about the Child Labour Prevention Act. After that, we learned about the Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay, then we discussed why Union Carbide set up its plant in India. These are the content we discussed we learned in the previous class. I hope that all of you read the textbook and you prepared the keynotes. Okay, so let's continue the topic. Okay, the government must ensure that safety laws are implemented. Okay, it is also the duty of the government to ensure that the right to life guaranteed by the Constitution is not violated. Our Constitution, we already know there are mainly 6 fundamental rights are there. Among them, right to life is very important. Okay, so the government must ensure that safety laws are implemented. It is also the duty of the government to ensure that the right to life guaranteed by the Constitution is not violated. Okay? The Bhopal disaster shows lacking on the government part. Okay, there were weak safety laws and those too were not enforced. Okay, we already studied about the worst situation of Bhopal gas tragedy, right? Yes. So the Bhopal disaster shows a lacking on the government part. Okay, there were weak safety laws and these two were not enforced. Government officials refused to recognize the plant as hazardous and allowed it to come up in a crowded locality. Okay, the government actually no need of approval the company in that crowded area. Okay, so government officials refused to recognize the plant as hazardous and allowed it to come up in a crowded locality. In this way, the safety of the people was disregarded both by the government and by private companies. Okay, both by the company and the government. Okay, then in this way we can realize the safety of the people was disregarded both by the government and by people and by private companies. Okay, in the year the Bhopal gas tragedy took place, there were few laws protecting the environment in India. Okay, the environment was treated as a free entity and any industry could pollute the air and water without any restrictions. Okay, in the year the Bhopal gas tragedy took place, we studied it was in 1984. Okay, tragedy took place, there were few laws protecting the environment in India. The government was treated as a free entity and any industry could pollute the air and water without any restrictions. Clear? Okay. The Bhopal gas disaster brought the issue of environment to the forefront. The condition of the environment and the loss to the forefront. Okay, the Indian government introduced new laws on the environment. Okay, henceforth the polluter was to be held accountable for the damage done to environment. Okay, the Indian government introduced new laws on the environment. Henceforth the polluter was to be held accountable for the damage done to environment. Okay, laws were important not only for the workers but also for those who might be injured due to industrial accidents. Okay, laws were important not only for the workers but also for those who might be injured due to industrial accidents. One of the prime responsibilities of the government is to make appropriate laws and to enforce them. Okay, laws that are weak and poorly enforced can cause serious disaster. One of the prime responsibilities of the government is to make appropriate laws and to enforce them. Laws that are weak and poorly enforced can cause serious disaster. Okay, so a clean environment is a public facility. Can you explain the statement? A clean environment is a public facility. Okay, let's discuss. A clean environment is meant for all those who are living in it. Okay, as it is shared by many people at the same time, it said to be a public facility. A clean environment is meant for all, not only for somebody, for all those who are living in it. Okay, as it is shared by many people at the same time, it is said to be a public facility. Clear? Why do we need new laws? Any idea? Yes. New laws are needed in order to check pollution, then clean rivers and banning the use of polythene bags. That's why we need some new laws to protect the environment. New laws are needed in order to check pollution, clean rivers and banning the use of polythene bags. Okay, can you think of ways in which the environment can be protected? The ways of protect our environment. Yes, minimum use of private vehicles. We can check the pollution. Okay, then afforestation. Then boycott of the use of polythene bags. Then proper disposal of sewage. Proper disposal of sewage. So, minimum use of private vehicles, afforestation, boycott of the use of polythene bags, proper disposal of sewage. Okay, in this lesson we already studied about the Bhopal gas tragedy. It was a disaster we discussed. Do you know what is the definition of disaster? Yes, a disaster is the form of a hazard if it causes severe destruction of life and property. That is called a disaster. A disaster is a form of a hazard if it causes severe destruction of life and property. Clear? Yes. Disaster classified into two, that is the natural disaster and man-made disaster. Okay. Have you heard about disaster management? Yes. Disaster management is the set of activities designed to minimize the effects of disasters. Okay, disaster management is the set of activities designed to minimize the effect of disasters. Okay, then disaster preparedness is a process involving activities that help us to face disasters more efficiently. Okay, disaster preparedness is a process involving activities that help us to face disaster more efficiently. Okay, the hazards that occur naturally and can't be prevented are called natural disasters. Okay, the hazard that occur naturally without the interference of human beings and can't be prevented are called natural disasters. Okay, then man-made disasters are those which are caused by major accidents or inadvertent or deliberate actions of individuals, groups or government. That is called a man-made disaster. Okay, I hope that all of you got the points or understood the content of this lesson. In this lesson, mainly we discussed about the law on minimum wages and the exploitation in the market. Then we discussed about the relationship between producer, workers and consumers. Then the Child Labour Prevention Act. Then after that, the Bhopal gas tragedy and about the Union Carbide company introduced by America in India. Okay, and the lower safety measures and the lower working conditions of the workers also we discussed. Then we discussed about what is called a disaster. Why do we need new laws to protect our environment? Then we discussed about the types of disasters, that is man-made and natural. Then we discussed about the disaster management and disaster preparedness. Okay, so these are the important content of this lesson. Definitely you have to read the textbook, find out the one word question and answer. We will discuss your doubts in the online session. Prepare the keynote before the online session. So, namaste, have a nice day, thank you.